I began playing The Witcher 3 many years after its release, the year of 2015. I remember that time and all the buzz surrounding it. It was plastered all over social media with people giving it perfect scores across the board, quickly touting it as one of the greatest RPGs ever made. 19-year-old me, however, couldn't be bothered because I had just entered the workforce after graduation, and I had taken a break from gaming to focus on building a career. My only experience with this series was The Witcher 2, and I'll be honest, I low-key kind of hated it. I just remember the combat being janky and awful, the story being boring, and wondering why the fuck Geralt's hair was white. Of course now I know better, but I really was not impressed with that game. Teenage me was used to more casual and brainless experiences. I simply wasn't able to appreciate the artistry and thoughtfulness of mature storytelling. Thankfully, this curse was finally broken in 2018, when I decided to pick up the Game of the Year edition of The Witcher 3, and thus my life was irreversibly changed forever. There's so many things that make The Witcher 3 special, from the occupied fields of White Orchard to the wine-soaked vistas of Toussaint. The Witcher 3 has something many other open worlds of its era lacked, a grounded and believable world that mirrors our own. Granted, it's far from the first game to do this, but the level of consistent quality delivered with production values of this magnitude was quite rare in 2015. And honestly, many open worlds today have struggled to match it, let alone exceed it. The Witcher 3 is like a mirror into our brutal past, touching on themes of war, hatred, and xenophobia. The Nilfgaardian invasion is the imperial subjugation of the less refined people of the north. They rule with fear and barbarism, under the guise of cultural progress and civility, while the Redanians essentially do the same thing, but they do it by weaponizing the superstitions and ignorance of the past. It scratches a very similar itch to Skyrim's Civil War story beat, but The Witcher 3 actually provides real consequences, and it earns its narrative payoff. Then there's Skellige, a beautiful archipelago where honor and glory are everything. It is a nation divided by the death of their king, leaving the Jarls uncertain as they contend with their differing philosophies on what that honor and glory actually means. Is it the violent tradition and superstition of the past, or is it the more calculated and pragmatic civility of the future? And just like the war between Nilfgaard and Redania, that future is left entirely in your hands. Toussaint is a gorgeous and hilariously hyper-fantasy contradiction to the rest of the areas in the game. It is a place that actively takes well-worn fantasy tropes, fuses them with the gritty morality of The Witcher, and doesn't wipe away the bloody mess. Chivalric virtues, knights errant, the fervent belief in good triumphing over evil, you name it. If it's from fantasy media, it's pretty much here, with a decidedly grey twisting of the morality knife. Of course, no open world this grounded would be complete without characters that feel as real and vulnerable as they do in The Witcher 3. One thing this game does masterfully is reminding the player just how insignificant they are in the grand scheme of things. Sure, Geralt is a badass monster slayer that can best any common man, but he's still just a man himself, albeit a mutated one. The game may give you the option to make choices that Geralt would make, but it quickly reminds you that things still happen despite you, not just because you selected a specific dialogue option. Some people may claim this discredits The Witcher 3's legitimacy as an RPG, but I don't believe that's the case. It was a very deliberate design choice to drive home Andrzej Sapkowski's original vision. The world reacts around Geralt, not because of him. Geralt is just a passenger in this world. It was here before him, and it will be here long after he's gone. Geralt's limitations are quickly shown in the main sections where you get to play as his found daughter Ciri. She's a child of the Elder Blood, an ancient elven prophecy that grants her unprecedented power. The power to save or destroy the world. She is a living weapon, while Geralt is just a simple witcher. While Geralt may be just a simple witcher, he's often tasked with helping people solving complicated moral dilemmas. Philip Stranger, also known as the Bloody Baron, is probably the most famous example of this in The Witcher 3, and for good reasons. He's a former Temerian soldier turned bandit after his country's defeat in the Nilfgaardian War. He moved his family into the home of Velen's former ruler, who fled to a secluded island as soon as the invasion started. Stranga and his retinue are incredibly flawed men. They harass and extort the people of Ellen for everything they have, even their own children. They aren't beacons of morality, but the Baron still shows signs of great humanity and regret. He helped Ciri while she was on the run from the Wild Hunt. He fed her, clothed her, gave her a home, and showed her genuine kindness and hospitality. The game loves to introduce characters that are a direct mirror to Geralt. Both men have lost their daughters and are desperately searching to find them. I want to talk about a little side quest called Where the Cat and Wolf Play. It starts out as a simple contract to track down a monster terrorizing the village of Honorton, but Geralt quickly finds the entire village has been slaughtered. Gaetan, a witcher from the School of the Cat, took the contract but ended up murdering everyone after the village alderman attempted to murder him because he couldn't pay Gaetan the amount they agreed on. Book readers will immediately notice the reference to the famous short story from The Last Wish, where Geralt earns his infamous moniker, the Butcher of Blaviken. I'll spare you the details if you wish to read it yourself, but the long story short is Gaetan is another direct mirror to Geralt. The devs even went a step further by having you kill some wolves along the way. This may appear as more random fodder for the player to kill, but there's 7 of them you have to cut down, the exact same number of people that Geralt killed in Blaviken. I just discovered this little detail while recording this video and just thought it was a pretty nice little Easter egg. Olgierd von Everec is another prime example of a mirror to Geralt. Both find themselves at the mercy of a malevolent deity who forces a Faustian deal on them. Olgierd made this deal with Gaunter O'Dim in a misguided attempt to give his wife everything she desired, but he also did it to sate his own ego. This deal sadly backfires by stripping Olgierd of everything that made him human. His ability to empathize. He became a cold and heartless wretch because Gaunter O'Dim gave him what he asked for, not what he desired. Geralt later runs into O'Dim, who frees him from a bunch of Ophir warriors after Geralt mistakenly murders their king, who just so happened to turn into a cursed toad. In exchange, Geralt must fulfill 3 demands from Olgierd, one of which includes showing his dead brother the time of his life. I love this section because it introduces the best thematic element of Hearts of Stone. Geralt must let Olgierd's dead brother Vladimir possess his body for one night. Vladimir and Geralt couldn't be more polar opposites, and it serves to show us a hilarious side of Geralt we never get to see. A man with an insatiable hunger for the finer things in life. Vladimir is cocky, brash, hedonic, a man who lives for the party, yet he can also be sweet and considerate when he wants to be. He's a more rough and tumble version of Dandelion. Geralt is, however, confident, stoic, and cynical, very cynical. Yet he too can be sweet and considerate when the situation calls for it, and especially when it involves the people that he loves the dearest. For one night, we get to imagine Geralt in another life as another person. For one night, he loses his heart of stone. Ultimately, The Witcher 3 is a story about family, and legacy. Geralt is a different man than the one that found that little girl in the Brokilon Forest all those years ago. Through their highs and lows, they still manage to find their way back to each other every time. Call it destiny, free will, or chosen love. The bond Geralt and Ciri have may be carved on the pages of Sapkowski's novels, but CD Projekt Red hands us the quill for their final chapter. What kind of legacy will you, Geralt of Rivia, leave on the world standing in front of you? Whatever you choose, one thing is for certain. Something ends, and something begins.